Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, brought to you as always by Lay of the Land. I want to thank you all for your lovely messages I received yesterday. Many of you enjoyed the brief broadcast from Kibbutz Gvulot, just 7 kilometers from the border with Gaza. Today is day 109 of Israel's war against Hamas. It has been an agonizing day for us in Israel. Our hearts are broken into 21 different pieces. As I said to you just a couple of weeks ago, when soldiers fall, they are not just defenders of the country called to go and fight hundreds of kilometers away. They are our sons, our brothers, our colleagues, our friends' sons, our husbands, our fathers, and they're fighting a war literally on our doorstep. From where I was yesterday on Kibbutz Gvulot, I could see and hear the F-16s, the F-35s overhead. I could hear what we call the symphony of war, the artillery shells, as our troops fought against Hamas terrorists in the Gaza Strip. The last 24 hours have been agony. This morning, we got the horrific news that 21 soldiers have fallen in defense of the state of Israel. This is the deadliest single day since the start of the war on the 7th of October. And what we mean by deadliest, since we've gone into Gaza in a ground invasion. So what we do know, this is what the IDF, through the senior spokesperson, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, has told us. We know that an RPG and rocket-propelled grenade was fired at a tank protecting our soldiers. 10 soldiers were killed in that event. Simultaneously, two double-story houses or buildings collapsed when the explosions that were planted in them, believed to be by our troops that had put mines inside to blow up the terror infrastructure, went off, and the buildings collapsed on top of our soldiers, killing 11 more. We do know that our elite search and rescue teams with dogs, with our elite 669 rescue team, went in to retrieve the bodies of our fallen sons. The events are currently under investigation by the IDF. President Herzog expressed his sorrow and his condolences to all the families, saying we now have 21 new names added to headstones. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and leader of the opposition and War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz all added their condolences, saying we have paid a heavy, heavy price in our just war against Hamas terrorists. The IDF have also confirmed that troops have surrounded the city of Khan Yunis. Khan Yunis is believed to be a nest of Hamas terrorists. Troops are pushing further into the city and have appealed to civilians to please leave for the safe zones. It was also confirmed by the National Public Diplomacy Directorate that 10,000 humanitarian aid trucks have entered the Gaza Strip since the 7th of October. Now I want to be very, very clear. Israel is complying with what is required of us through the laws of armed conflict and the Geneva Convention. Those humanitarian aid trucks are going through unimpeded by the state of Israel, and we will continue to ensure that as much humanitarian aid as possible goes in. Once they are in the Strip, the problem on that side is dealing with Hamas, who are hijacking and taking those humanitarian aid trucks and charging exorbitant amounts of money for the aid which should be distributed for free. This is not a propaganda phenomenon. This is something that has been confirmed by multiple media sources. Earlier today, Hezbollah claimed that they had hit the air traffic control base in Meron. We are waiting for confirmation of that incident by the IDF. Hezbollah have fired numerous rockets into the north of Israel today. We can't forget that our soldiers are fighting a war on two fronts, in the Gaza Strip and in the north, where we are preparing every single day for any possibility. A delegation of senior prosecutors and attorneys from countries whose citizens were either kidnapped or murdered on October the 7th are in the state of Israel at the moment and pursuing justice for their citizens. Yesterday they met with a legal advisor to the government as well as the IDF and viewed the IDF footage of the horrors of the 7th of October. Today they will visit communities and areas impacted by the attacks and atrocities of the 7th of October. Their aim being here is to pursue justice. Now, there has been a lot of discussion in the mainstream media about Prime Minister Netanyahu. Let me put my teeth back in. Prime Minister Netanyahu's refusal for a two-state solution. The two-state solution is the accepted solution to find a state for the Jewish people, the state of Israel, and a state for the Palestinian people. But I want to make something very, very clear. And it's a sentiment that was expressed by our President Isaac Herzog at the World Economic Forum in Davos last week when he was interviewed for the global media. Israelis don't want to deny Palestinians anything. However, right now we are still a country very deep in shock, very deep in mourning, and living with the realities that Palestinians, whether it be in the disputed areas of Judea and Samaria or in the Gaza Strip, have been indoctrinated to hate us. We see examples of that hatred every single day, not just on the 7th of October. Israelis right now are reeling. Discussing any possibilities for any peace process is the furthest thing from our mind. It doesn't mean that we don't want peace. We are stubborn. We want peace. We hope for peace. We fight for peace. But right now is not the time to have those discussions. Right now we are busy coming to terms with the worst atrocity committed against the Jewish people since the 7th of October. And I also want to reiterate, nobody is more acute of the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip than Israelis. We ache about it. We are angry about it. We are frustrated about it. We blame Hamas for this. Because prior to the 7th of October, when there was a ceasefire, we were allowing in tens of thousands of Palestinians to work in fields, to work in Israel, to grow their economy. I don't think that will ever happen again. Israelis have learned the bitter way that we don't have a partner for peace. That right now it's going to take a literal miracle to have a partner for peace. It doesn't mean that we don't hurt, that we don't cry, and that we don't ache for the situation of innocent Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. It doesn't mean that we don't mourn the loss of civilian life. And I want to be clear, Israel is not committing a genocide against the Palestinian people. Genocide is about intent and not numbers. And it's something that people need to be aware of. The emotive language used by countries like South Africa, backed up with statistics that Hamas are giving. Hamas, this is a terrorist organization, not legitimate sources, is designed that way to make you angry with Israel, to demand ceasefires and to demand punishment for the Jewish state. This is a war that we are fighting not just in the north, not just in the south, but also in the legal apparatus and in the battles of public opinion. And finally, Qatari officials have said that mediation efforts are still underway to broker some kind of agreement for the release of the over 130 hostages still being held in the Gaza Strip. Today, survivors or hostages that were released from the Gaza Strip testified to a Knesset committee that not only were our women and our young girls raped by Hamas in those terror tunnels, but so too were some of the young men and boys. This is agony. This is more than we can bear as a nation. Time is running out. And our priority as a country is to secure the release of our hostages. But make no mistake, we also want the complete dismantling of Hamas. Our head of the Mossad, David Barnea, has also put forward a suggestion maybe to exile Hamas members and put a ceasefire in place so that we can have the release of our hostages. None of this has been agreed upon. It's still under negotiation. But we know that time is running out for our brothers and sisters that are being held hostage in the Gaza Strip. They're not all Israelis. They come from countries around the world. And we want the entire world to say, bring them home now. And that brings me to the end of today's edition of the Israel Brief. Please don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. There is an article up, my visit to Kibbutz Kfar Aza and surrounds. It is also up on our Facebook page. You can find us at Lottel site. You guys know what to do. Like, share and subscribe. Our YouTube channel is at the Israel Brief. Thank you to our growing community and thank you to all of you. I cannot stress it enough for your messages of support and love for the people of the State of Israel. And we are on X at Lay of the Land 5. I'm Marlene Marks for the Israel Brief. Please guys, take care of yourselves and each other. I will see you tomorrow.